Space battles. One of the fun and sometimes lesser discussed parts of this game are the space battles. Fleets are hard to manage. They stack in an odd way until you actually figure out what the mechanics behind the stacking are. You have two different things you have to manage in
Competitors engaged.
unison. Naval capacity, which is the actual literal number of ships you can have, and fleet limit. Here's the catch. That will be skewed based on the strength of the ship you're building, because the number of ships in any given fleet or navy, the actual physical number, the naval capacity, is based on Corvettes, which is like the lowest, this is the weakest of the ships. So you end up, very often you end up, when you first start playing this game, making a fleet, and then you end up being way over your naval capacity and your fleet limit. And then you get confused because you'll go to like the fleet manager and you'll see this and you'll be like, well, that's weird. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Why is that like that? And you won't have a really firm explanation as to why until you start looking at the numbers. This game is all about the numbers. And then you'll see like, oh, okay. If you go in and you can go into the ship designer, which is another tab, it's this right here. And then you can look up like, okay, Corvette, what are the stats? And then you can look at the stats and be like, okay, this is how they're measuring each and every ship. And that's where it gets tricky. They're not measuring each and every ship against itself. They're measuring each and every ship against the Corvette. And that means measuring it against the speed, or not the speed, but the power, relative power of the Corvette. And that's less than the destroyer, the cruiser, the battleship, what have you. So fleet management can be really tricky. And unless you're gonna play in an aggressive warlike way, fleets are also expensive and not things that you wanna just have sitting around. Speaking of capacity, let's get back to Empire Sprawl. There are a number of different edicts you can enact once you have enough resources and influence. There are also technologies you can learn and a couple of traditions that you can enact. Like, for example, let's go to traditions. Okay, look at this. You see, expansion is one that helps you with managing your sprawl. Like, each one of these has to do with, in one way, shape, or form, reducing the impact of growth on your empire. I like it as a nice third. I say third because second because discovery, I feel, if you want to expand, you're going to need to discover first. And starting with discovery, when you unlock that tree, you immediately get a bonus to research speed. Then one of the first nodes in the tree, it gives you an increase to survey speed and a disengagement chance for your science ships. That means if you run into enemies, it'll have a better chance of getting away. Science division, which is one of the top nodes in that tree, is a very important one, and you want to get it early because it gives you more research alternatives. Technology is something that's not really explained very well in this game. It takes a little while to figure out how the technology tree works, and it branches independently. Unlike a lot of similar games where you have a tree and you can decide where you want to go, you have some control, not a lot. It can be a little frustrating for first-time players. And they're also broken out along these three very distinct verticals: physics, society, and engineering. Some people don't know that you can actually see what you've researched. That's what this tab is right here. I'm clicking this so you can see it. And yeah, I just got research. I just researched wormhole travel, so I'm pretty psyched about that. Got antimatter, and my physics research is pretty on point. Society research I'm doing really well in. Psionic theory, which I've been waiting for. You have to get that before you can get mind over matter. But I like to go with the whole shroud storyline, and you can't unlock it unless you get psionic theory. Regenerative hull tissue. There are a lot of things I ended up getting because as a result of building my empire in this way, I had over I swear, it felt like 100 anomalies. And you find your anomalies if you need to list them out. Here. They'll let you know whether or not you can actually reach it based on diplomatic treaties and whatnot. You may not be able to travel in a neighbor's backyard, so to speak. And so you're not going to be able to get to some of these, but you won't lose them. They'll stay there. And they aren't things that are going to be researched by other empires. They'll just always be researchable by you until you're actually able to do it. The projects, many of them are actually time-based. Say, like, you have a space battle and there's a bunch of debris. You can send a science ship out there and it'll analyze the debris and you'll get like a small science boost depending on what the debris is. Or there'll be like a chain quest, like an alien specimen, or the Cybrex quest. I'm meandering a little bit, admittedly, but I wanted to give you a bit of a progress report. I'm almost done with consolidating this map, and as I said, unless there ends up being some unforeseen war, I'll be able to secure all the star systems I didn't set out to do. I ended up securing a seat on the Galactic Council, and I've done this without opening any branch offices in any neighboring empires. The reason I say this is, there's a building called the Corporate Embassy. Each corporate embassy you build gives you a 10% stack bonus on your base diplomatic weight amount. So 10% plus 10% plus 10%, like it stacks. And it becomes quite significant. If I had any number of branch offices right now, I'd probably be outpacing both of these two empires in diplomatic weight. I haven't opened up any yet because there is a Ascension perk that you need to get. It's not open right now. I can't actually look at what all the, okay. And it is universal transactions. It's only really useful if you're a mega corporation. Otherwise, it's kind of like, okay, because you can only open branch offices if you're a mega corporation. So it's distinct and unique to mega corporations, which is why I don't really touch so much on it. Some of these other Ascension perks are somewhat more specific to the overall style of play you have. Some are universal, like Transcendence. You normally want to get that after Mind Over Matter if you're going to want to follow the Shroud storyline. Synthetic Evolution, I will admit, I'm getting bitten by synthetics, like building AIs and robot armies. I have them turn against me. When there are certain endgame entities that will appear, and they'll be OP, and if you aren't ready for them, there's nothing you can do. That's all I have for now. I just wanted to give you all a brief update. And, oh yeah, my video earlier, there was a problem with the thumbnail. For some reason, it was coming through like grainy. So I took it down, and because for some reason it was acting wonky when I tried to just change the thumbnail. So I took it down and I put it back up with a new thumbnail. I hope you all enjoyed that video, and I hope you enjoyed this one. I will further update you when I am further along in this game and we have some more interesting things going on. For example, I will be traveling through wormholes, and I'll have gate hole travel and a couple of other things, I'm hoping, in the next day or so. Talk to you soon.